Hey everyone, welcome to Trail Sage, and today we're talking about the Salomon Pulsar Trail. After struggling with the Hoka Torrent 3, my buddy Ultra Trail Steven recommended I give these a shot, so I did. This shoe has been a pleasant surprise and a lot of fun to run in. I spent the last few months testing these shoes on the techie terrain that I love to run on and put them through my usual battery of test. The result? I think these Pulsar Trails will work well for most trail runners looking for a neutral running shoe, but are they the perfect shoe? Well, we'll go over my likes and dislikes, but first, let's go over the specs. In a men's 8.5, the Pulsar Trail weighed in at 277 grams, which isn't too bad. In looking at the upper, you can see that Salomon opted to use their Quicklace lacing system rather than traditional laces. And to hide the excess, they provided a small pouch at the top of the tongue. And speaking of the tongue, it's gusseted, extends pretty high above the laces, and it's quite plush. The same can be said for the collar and heel. There's plenty of padding, making this shoe comfortable to run in and eliminates any hot spots. In terms of lockdown, the extra padding and heel cup does a good job of securing your foot in the shoe. The heel cup is also very stiff, which helps to keep its form, but I do want to note they didn't include a heel tab, so putting on the shoe means relaxing the laces completely first. Regarding construction, the shoe is built with a thick but soft synthetic mesh with reinforcements around the laces. There's also rubber overlays around the toe box, sides, and heel to add protection and keep moisture out. The sole is made of a soft EVA foam that's coupled with Salomon's Energy Blade, which they say improves propulsion and makes for a more lively, responsive feel. The stack height in the back is 32.6 millimeters and 26.6 millimeters in the front, giving you a 6 millimeter drop overall. Moving on to the underside, Salomon uses their All Terrain Contragrip, which works well in a variety of situations and conditions. The lugs range from 3 to 5 millimeters and are sloped and designed to make them more efficient. And to save weight, there are cutouts where you can see the exposed EVA, with the biggest being the large channel at the back. Finally, the Pulsar Trail comes in a variety of color options and sizes for both the men and women, but I do want to point out that I didn't see a wide option for either. Also, if you don't see a colorway you like on Salomon's website, I did see a few more choices from some third-party vendors. Okay, so now that you know the specs, here are my likes. This shoe is really playful, which I realize is a funny way to describe a shoe, but let me explain. The minute that I put these shoes on, I felt a sense of responsiveness that was only enhanced once I got these shoes out on the trail, where they absolutely came alive. Are they the lightest shoe on the market? No, but the way that the shoe molds itself to your feet makes them feel like they're part of your foot. They bounce around the trail, tackling most terrain with ease, giving you the confidence you want while being extremely agile. The materials that Salomon used to construct the upper are rugged, but they're not cumbersome. The overlays around the toe box and heel do a good job of protecting your feet and add a little bit of coverage against the elements. And regarding durability, these shoes show minimal wear considering the punishment that I put them through. And speaking of punishment, the EVA offers plenty of cushion, and when coupled with their Energy Blade, has a nice balance of dampening and responsiveness. Now, I was a little bit concerned with the smaller lugs on the tread, but those concerns were quickly wiped away the minute I hit the trails. The compound was grippy in every situation, but most notably on the rocks where I spend a lot of my time. But I wanted to put those impressions to the test and compare them to a few of the other shoes that I've owned. I set up a traction test by placing 8 pounds of weight into the shoe and then attached a scale to measure the amount of force that it would take to move it across the coarse grit sandpaper. The Pulsar Trail averaged 11.5 pounds of force to pull it across the sandpaper, which isn't too bad. Regarding my other shoes, if you watch my review on the Hoka Torrent 3, you know how much I complained about the traction, and when I ran it through the same test, they only averaged around 10 pounds of force. Well, that's about a 10% difference, and considering we only had 8 pounds of weight in each shoe, that's quite a difference. So how about my other shoes? Well, the Hoka Speedgoat 3 averaged just about the same at 11.5 pounds, but the big winner was my original Hoka Torrents from 2019. They averaged 12 pounds of force, which makes sense because these were my all-time favorite shoe. Now, I was surprised that the Pulsar Trail didn't get a little bit closer to that number because when I was running in them, I actually felt that they were comparable to the original Torrents. Maybe that has to do with how the tread pattern contacts the sandpaper, but that goes to show you that this test isn't perfect and there's a lot of factors to consider when we talk about traction. Finally, I want to talk about the overall fit, which I gotta tell you, has been really comfortable to run in. The extra cushioning around the heel, collar, and tongue not only ensures a good lockdown, but eliminates any hot spots, which has been great on my longer runs. But that's not to say that this shoe isn't fast. Of course, I wouldn't call it a racing shoe either, but my point is, considering all the comfort that we just talked about, this shoe still feels light on your feet. But that's it for my legs, so let's get into some things that bother me about this shoe, and since we were just talking about comfort and fit, let's go over the quick lacing system. In general, the quick lace holds its place and I rarely have to readjust the tension, which is good because the problem I have is with the design. Let me explain. Once you pull the lace tab to your desired tension, you're left with a lot of extra cord. Thankfully, Salomon included a pocket on the tongue to tuck all the excess cord into. The only issue is once you pull the laces tight, the pocket is inaccessible. If they had just built the pocket a little bit higher, this would have solved everything. The other issue that I noticed was in those hotter months when you sweat a lot, these shoes really hold on to the moisture, and that goes for creek crossings and wet weather too. Once these shoes get wet, they get really bogged down. When I put this shoe through my breathability test, we see very little movement of the tissue with the hairdryer set on low. But I do want to note that I experienced the same issue with the Speedgo 3 holding on to moisture, and the breathability test reflects the same outcome. Again, the big winner here was my original Torrance, which performed remarkably well under the same conditions. Finally, I realized that this shoe isn't promoted as an aggressive trail shoe and there's no rock plate, but I do want to point out that there's very little protection on the underside. When I run on more serious terrain, I can definitely feel the rocks under my feet. In fact, I ended up injuring my big toe on one of my runs, which knocked me out of commission for a bit. And if you're wondering, none of my other shoes have a rock plate either. There's just something about the EVA in this shoe that's less protective. But if you're looking for more ground feel, I guess that could be a positive. But that's it for my dislikes, so let's move on to pricing. I paid $140 for mine, which I thought was fair, but I currently see them available on Salomon's website for just over $100, which is a bargain. I've even seen them for less on some third-party retailers, depending on which colorway you choose, and for those prices, you're getting a steal. So in conclusion, despite the underside protection, lacing, and breathability issues I experienced, I actually think these shoes will work well for most trail runners. The lightweight and fit makes this a pleasure to run in, and the Energy Blade provides a responsive ride that will have you effortlessly bounding down the trail. The traction was impressive through a variety of terrain, and the comfort was noticeable, especially on my longer runs. For me, I'll be switching out the quick lacing system in favor of some traditional laces and continue to use these on my trail runs. And judging by the lack of wear, I feel like I should be able to get a solid 400 to 500 miles out of them. Well, that does it for this video. If you have any feedback or questions, leave them in the comments below. And if you enjoyed this video, hit that like button. And if you want to see more content like this, feel free to subscribe. Thanks for watching. Let's try that again. 7, wow, it's really hot. It's hot! My buddy Ultra Trail Steven. Okay, so now that you know the spikes. Okay, so now that you know my legs, here are my legs. Now, I was surprised that the Pulsar Trail didn't do a little bit better. Because when I was running in them. Now, I do want to note that I had the same issue. The same issue with the Speedgo 3. Do want to note that I had the same issue with the Speedgo 3 under the same conditions. Woo! Finally, I realized that this shoe isn't promoted under the same conditions. Finally,
Nope, one more time. This is just slick. So I can hit that spot right there. Why is that happening? Because I'm taking off with the left. I gotta take off the right. I just can't get the traction. God damn it. Let's try that again. Oh, come on, Sage. You wanna be in my video, huh? Good boy, or girl.